Boys, and girls, welcome. I am going to talk about Legacy of Kain and Soul Reaver. I've been seeing a couple videos online about timelines, character studies, and they are mostly good, but I think people are confused. So I am going to go over a few things real quick in this video, and then I am going to make probably 1,000 more in depth. So first off, at the end of Defiance, the cycle does not continue again. Okay, we have reached the edge of the coin, as it were. They have reached the Spirit Forge. Raziel purified himself, which means the Reaver, and Kain. Okay, the Hilden maintain control of Janos Aldrin, which, as far as I can tell, is the reason why Kain's empire looks so corrupted, because it's technically not Kain's empire. It is the result of the break of the demon dimension and the flood of the Hilden on the land. Okay? Now, I don't actually think the Hilden are the true enemy. I am a pretty firm Hilden advocate. But as he states at the end of Defiance, a new epoch has begun, and he flies away. Okay? Now, the reason he doesn't just go and kill Kain and take over the world, blah, 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 is because he needs all the events that happen to happen, besides the whole history abhors a paradox. That's why none of the characters just go and try to travel through time willy-nilly. They're on a path. They follow the path. Is why Raziel doesn't try to go in the past and talk to Janos Aldrin again. It's why he tries to resurrect him, because he already talked to Janos Aldrin in the past. He can't redo that because they had already met once, and had he done it again, then that would have been the time they met, and Janos would already have known that. These are the paradoxes and dualities set by the game. The first of which being the winged race and the Hilden being seemingly religious and technological based societies that went to war and ultimately destroyed both of themselves, which is very akin to real world history of ancient civilizations who had warred. There's stories in India about great technology, flying cities, all kinds of stuff that are very much aligned with this story. It's why I use this above all others to try to explain things to people. You have the 9 pillars and the Soul Reaver, so you have 10 elements representing the 10 Sephiroth. In this game, there's the Pillar of Mind, Pillar of Dimension, Conflict, Balance, Time, States, Death, and Balance pillars. And then you have the Soul Reaver as the 10th. The 9 pillars serve as a lock that was placed as a kind of a banishment to the Hilden. I know most people watching this know that. And the Reaver is the key, basically. But the confusion seems to be that Kain is going to put the sword back somewhere so that history can repeat. But what I think people are missing is the dual Soul Reaver. The reason time can be altered to begin with is that there's 2 Reavers in the past. Kain breaks the blade against Raziel in the future. They travel into past with it. It's set upon the altar broken. Raziel mends the broken Reaver. Oh, okay. No, I'm wrong. He mends the Reaver that William had. is, okay? But the reason there's two Reavers is because of the time travel to begin with. The first time Kain goes in the past with the Reaver, it's lost. There's very much the story in Soul Blood Omen 2 that Kain loses to William, or the Nemesis, as it is in that game, where the Hilden Empire is set on the world. That's what you don't understand about Legacy of Kain, Defiance, and the change that happens when Kain sets his empire, is that the Hilden are loose on the world, and they do try to make a foothold onto it. But truly, the only time they can win against Kain is in the farthest future when Kain goes into the past. I know not a lot of people like Blood Omen 2, but it does try to illuminate the Hilden in a way not seen before. I just think it was very sloppy. But anyway, Raziel goes into the past and is able to mend the Reaver. These two Reavers then are now in play. The Reaver Kain has, by the end of it, is a fully upgraded and purified Reaver that his former self did not have. When he's standing on top and he's talking about hope, the younger Kain has just walked away from the pillars, Reaver in hand. So they are on two different courses at the same time. What I suspect is Kain enters a state of change, and oh boy, I hope he gets his wings. That would mean that if there was a third game, the way it would play out would be a much more aerial spectacle, because the Hilden and the him both have wings. But I don't want it to end with them destroying each other like it started. I see it more going that the Hilden gets purified by the Reaver in battle if Kain can't convince him any other way that the Elder God has been the one pulling the strings on everyone forever and ever and ever. Because not only did he set Mobius against the vampires and Raziel against Kain, he is the literal cause for the Hilden and Winged Race War and the curse of the vampirism to begin with. If it wasn't for him speaking into the minds of the Winged Race, convincing them that because the Hilden became immortal, that they must die, then the war never would have happened. I suspect the curse they put on the vampires was a altered form of technology that they applied to themselves. The vampires would call it a curse because they're very religious, but it's very much like a virus, you know, if you think of like Underworld and other things like that. It's genetic engineering, and the Elder God didn't, since he's outside of time, he experienced the future where the Hilden transcended death, and that was unacceptable for him. Now, the demon realm, or the prison realm that they create with the 9 pillars, you know, that are bound to these different principles, which everything in the game is like that. Kain resurrects his Raziel and his brethren, which are all bound to certain like elements, or however you want to say them in the game. Like most people think of 5 elements or whatever, but there's 7 going on in Legacy of Kain, and that's air, earth, light, dark, fire, water, and spirit. those 7, along with the 9 pillars, are, well, that and the Reaver. But I mean, these are 16 principles and forces that that bind all things together. Um, and it's able to give both parties immense power to manipulate these energies. And that's what is happening in each game. Raziel and Kain both go through similar processes of evolution. Kain physically evolves himself and the Reaver, while Raziel spiritually evolves himself and the Reaver. By the end of Defiance, when Raziel consumes all the spirits of all the Guardians, so all the original souls, including Janos Uldren, because by then he has ripped out the Heart of Darkness, and a bit of him has gone into Kain at this point, which is how he's reanimated. I have a lot of theories on all this, but that's for a later time. But by the end, when Raziel realizes by piercing Mobius with the Reaver, which is a very phallic symbol. I don't know if you notice, but like the fact that vampires can't have children and the fact that they pass on their thing as a blood thing. And besides Blood Omen 2, where Kain tries to get a wife, well, says she could have been his queen, but she betrays him. It's all males. Mobius openly alludes that Raziel loved him. That's all I'm going to go into, like the phallic worship aspects of the game at this point. The Reaver. I'll have a different video about that. But yeah. So they purify the Reaver. Each of them purifies the Reaver. And then they combine them. Double wanded one. So Kain both has a dual Reaver that has a purified blade enhanced with all the different elemental attachments or whatever you want to call them in the game, plus spiritual enhancements, souls, memories, these things that Raziel has absorbed, the souls of his brethren that gave him the ability to swim, climb, like these abilities that they get over the game. Kain gets armor in the first game, again very physical things, because he's very weak when he first is a vampire. So the game is showing that how he arms himself with these different types of armor for different situations. By the later games, he's barely clothed, but it's after an eon of evolution and him making his children and everything. But Kain is purified with Raziel, and he's able to see the Elder God. When he sees the Elder God, I am pretty sure the Hilden drop out of his mind like, okay, it's Kain. Let's be serious. If he can't convince him, he'll kill the guy. But I so want them to team up, the Hilden Lord and Kain, and it be an all out, like, just battle against like these undead forces that the Elder God tries to raise against them. And then what they would do is use the pillars to banish the Elder God to the prison world, because as the Hilden said, they become, ugly and deformed over time and grow mad. I feel like this is where the Elder God belongs, or where he came from. I know, I'll get into more stuff soon. Great video, guys, keep them up, but these are just some critiques. and I got more of them.